So what's the point of blockchains? CryptoKitties is a blockchain game. You buy cute little cats, you own them on the blockchain. You breed them on the blockchain and create new cute little cats that you own. It's super fun. Ask Sandra, she knows. What everyone expects me to answer when I ask the question, what's the point of blockchain, is they assume that we want to talk about magic internet money. And I think cryptocurrencies are important. But when I think about what cryptocurrencies are to the world of blockchain, I think it's what email is to the internet. So if any of you are old enough to remember the internet before anyone knew about the internet, you know, everyone was excited about email. Everyone understood what email was. Everyone understood how email could make their lives better. But if you ask anyone today, what's the value of the internet? Why do you care about the internet? They're going to list Spotify. They're going to list Netflix. They're going to talk about Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. And guess what? You need email for every one of those things, but no one mentions email. We all use it. We all need it. It's the most I guess, foundational thing on the internet, but we never talk about it as being the cool thing. I think the cryptocurrencies are going to be like that with blockchain. It's going to be an integral part of these platforms, but it's not going to be what we're talking about. It's not what we're going to be excited about 20 years from now when this stuff is mature. So I'm not going to talk about magical internet money today, because if you want to know about that, there's tons of stuff. But I think that CryptoKitties team has a perspective on what blockchains can enable that not very many people are talking about. So let's make sure we all agree on what is a blockchain. There's a specific data structure called a blockchain, but colloquially, when we're talking about blockchains, what we really mean is that it is this data store that has an indelible history that no one can change once it's been locked in. It has very strong rules about what can be added. So in the case of cryptocurrencies, we often talk about double spending. You can't spend the same coins twice. But those rules could be just about anything. Anyone can access it, but no one controls it, which is kind of a mind-blowing concept. There aren't very many things in the digital realm that are like that. And with the advent of the Ethereum network, we now have Turing-complete computation. So we can ask this network that no one owns, that anyone can participate in, to do any sort of computation that we want, so long as it's an easy computation, because the network's very slow at this point in time, but that scaling issue is going to get resolved. And so what does this all bring together? So when we launched CryptoKitties, we didn't know half the stuff that I'm about to tell you. But I think that the things you're about to hear are going to really transform certain parts of a software industry. So the first one that is, I guess, maybe obvious from the cryptocurrency use case is this idea of true ownership. So in a digital world, we all know that when I have a file and I send you a file, I still have the file. In fact, it's extra work for me to delete the file. When we're talking about digital things, we make copies of everything digital. We don't send it. But assets are moved, not copied in a blockchain. When I send you a Bitcoin, when I send you a CryptoKitty, I no longer have that CryptoKitty anymore. The other interesting thing that is a part of true ownership is this idea that the owner decides. When in the digital world, when we're talking about digital assets, we own a movie, we own a song, but we don't. We have a license to those things. We don't own a video game. We have a license to a video game. But in blockchain, we have true ownership. The real owner, the person who feels like they own that thing, actually has full control over how it is taken care of. And the person who created it, in the case of CryptoKitties, us, we have no power over what you do with your cats once you buy them. And there are no intermediaries. You can buy a cat from somebody without us being involved at all. We don't even, I mean, we can see that it happened because it happens in the blockchain, but we certainly can't block it from happening. Blockchain creates the best API ever. And I would have never guessed this, but when we launched CryptoKitties, one of the first things that happened was first thing that happened was we broke the Ethereum network. The next thing that happened was that this team out of New York created something called Kitty Hats. Kitty Hats is incredible. You can buy hats and shoes and sunglasses for your cats, and you can put them on your cats. And when you sell your cat, the sunglasses go with the cats because you own the cat, but the cat owns the hat. And these people built this. They built their own website. They built their own smart contracts, and they didn't tell us. They didn't ask permission. We couldn't have stopped them if we wanted to, because our API is a smart contract, and it can't ever change. They have the same access to our smart contract as we do, with the slight exception of the ability to launch new traits. So we can introduce new genetic variety in our cats. That's our one secret ability. But other than that, everybody else has access to the same data that we do. And the users choose. So if the kitty hats, if you like kitty hats, you go and you interact with kitty hats. You can install the plugin that renders the little hat on top of your cat. But if you don't like kitty hats, you don't even have to know that it exists. Somebody was talking about how it would be hilarious if they created diseases for cats, and if you own 2 cats together, then there'd be a chance that one cat would catch a disease from it, and then as you sold the cat, then somebody else. They can do that. We can't stop them, but guess what? If you, as a cat owner, don't think diseases are fun, you can just ignore the thing that they've done, and we can't force our users to use it, and we can't prevent our users from looking at it. Provable scarcity, this we knew was important, but we didn't really understand how it could be generalized. The rules of CryptoKitties are visible. Everyone knows that everyone who understands how our code can read how it works. And when we publish a blog post that says this is how it works, anyone who can read the code can challenge that if it's wrong. And so the rules are visible. Everyone knows what the rules are. For example, you can breed 2 cats together that you own. You can't breed 2 cats together if you don't own them both, unless you get permission from the owner of the other cat. These rules are enforced by the network and not by us, which means that we can't break these rules. And you know we can't break these rules because you can read our smart contract. So the most interesting rule, I think, is that we have a limit on how many cats we can create. So we have the ability to mint cats, we sell them. That's how we introduce new genetic variety into the population. But at the end of November of this year, we're not going to be able to create any more cats. And we can't change our minds. We're done. Now, you can build rules that allow you to change the rules, but those rules that allow you to change the rules would be visible, and those rules can't change. And so even though you can build some flexibility into it, that flexibility is very clear to everybody. And it's kind of an advanced topic, so just read the first part. This is the one that gets me. My voice is cracking, not because I'm emotional, but because I've been talking a lot. But this one gets me. For the first time in our lives, software engineering is a discipline that is like civic engineering, like architecture, in that we are building things that outlive us. So in the good old days of shrink-wrap software, you could write some software, you could sell it to someone, and if your company went under, they could still run that software. Then we moved to software as a service, and that was awesome in a bunch of ways. And it allowed for networked and social software. But we all know that if Twitter the company goes away, Twitter the website goes away. If CryptoKitties the company goes away, CryptoKitties doesn't go away. And that's never been true before. We can build software that is immortal. And in 100 years, if you own a cat and you give your private keys to your descendants, they will be able to find an Ethereum node running somewhere, if only in the Smithsonian Institute, and they will be able to prove that their grandparent bought that cat, owned that cat, and that you yourself own that cat now, and you're the only person in the world who can sell it or buy it or breed it. And that is, I think, kind of going to change everything. Thank you. So there's a theory about why the internet loves cats. And it's that dog people go to the dog park and they can show off their dogs at the dog park. But cat people don't have a cat park. So the only place they can show off their cats is the internet. There you go. So, yeah.
Any questions? We're going to give some people a chance to ask questions who haven't asked questions yet.
So our business model when we sell the last kitty, so it's 2 things. One, we do have a marketplace, so we take a commission on any sales that happen through the marketplace. It is not required that cat sales happen through our marketplace, but we think that because we have the the website with everybody on it. That's sort of the best marketplace. So we do take a small commission there. But CryptoKitties and the experience we've seen with kitty hats has shown us that we can build experiences on top of our own experience. And so while we might not be able to sell new cats, people can breed new cats, people can trade the existing cats, and we can build new games like Kitty Racing, Kitty Battles on top of CryptoKitties that allow people to keep using those things. And I like to think that we understand the mind of a kitty owner better than most. And so I think that we'll be able to create some really great experiences in that ecosystem and keep growing it.
So if I buy a cat, do I own the code of the cat, or do I also own the artwork of the cat? Let's say I print my cat on paper and sell it to other people.
So we're currently working with our legal team right now. We have some early drafts internally, but unfortunately we haven't published it yet. We can't give you full copyright for the art of the cat because the art of the cat, your cat, is shared a little bit with other people's art. And what's more is we don't want people to buy some cats and then build an experience that competes with our experience, which they'd be able to do. But what we can do is we can do the same thing that the GPL does. So everyone here knows the GPL. They've heard about open source. What's fascinating about open source licenses is that they work not by giving up the copyright, but by retaining the copyright and then giving people access to an open license if they follow certain terms. And so that's what we're doing. So we're going to hold the copyright of the cat art, but we're going to release a license that says, if you own this token, you can print a t-shirt with that cat on it. You can make a mug with that cat on it. You can use that on your own personal website. You can use that as your avatar on Twitter because that's your cat. If you're a service provider and you print t-shirts for other people, you're allowed to print t-shirts that have our art on it, provided that you are providing service for somebody who owns that cat art. So if you want to try and print a t-shirt with somebody's cat art who isn't your customer, no can do, we'll sue you. If it's your cat and I'm a t-shirt provider, I'm allowed to print a t-shirt for you and I don't have to worry about the copyright. So we're trying to make sure that the ownership, the license matches the ownership properties, not the actual IP ownership that would happen if we assign the copyright to you.
Interesting. We're going to You were just talking. That's okay. No, it's okay. It's awesome. So we'll keep the question short, or you're going to clear it up?
Can I get a question short? Okay. So I wanted to go back to the open API just to make sure I understood the model. So technically you're saying that somebody built the cat hat and integrated it with your open API and they don't need to ask for anything. So this practically means that if I'm a designer, I can actually design decorations that go on top of the cat hat without even speaking to that company in New York.
100%.
And then it keeps on growing, like, endless.
Yep.
No one can stop it because the first API owners cannot change how it goes.
That's 100% correct. So you can always build new stuff on top, but because the smart contract is run in a secure, auditable, verifiable environment, they can't access anything inside. It's amazing. It's an API that anyone can access that I can't break as the contract creator, but you can't break my thing either, right? So you can build an extension to our game, but you can't break our game because we have to write our game to run in the blockchain already, and so you can't reach in and do anything to our contract that we didn't allow for. Yeah.
Last question. John, make it good. Questions popping on, and there's only 2 people.
Hi. Frequently, I doesn't use the smart contracts in Ethereum, so feel free to say no going with those too. But you've created a smart contract that runs CryptoKitties, but you can't change it. What happens if there's a bug in your source?
Well, fortunately, we haven't found any major bugs yet. We did give ourselves a backdoor, so we can pause the contract. And if we pause the contract, no one can sell or breed their cats. Fortunately, we have the ability to pause and then unpause the contract. So if there were some massive bug, we would be able to do that. Theoretically, we could issue a new contract, and if if everyone in the community knew that this new contract was better in some way and they agreed that it was better, then we could move people over to that new contract. It turns out that's very expensive to do because the storage is within the contract, and so we would have to move all of the cat data from one contract to another. And even though the cat data only represents about 5 megabytes of data, maybe 50, I can't remember the exact number, it would be tens of thousands of dollars to actually move that data. That's how expensive storing data on Ethereum is. So we're unlikely to do that anytime soon. But technically we could do that, but if we did it in a way that our users weren't satisfied with, they could always fork our smart contract and make a new copy of it themselves. The pause thing, we will, we do intend to sort of give up that power. So there's a sort of a magic key that we have, and we can set that to an invalid value so that we can no longer call that pause button. We'll probably do that in the future.
Thanks, Sean. Thank you so much, Steve.
It's fun.
That was fantastic.